Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today as we share our reopening plan for the 2020/21 school year. Although I already know it's out on social media, we did that intentionally. We wanted you to have that information up front. The theme for our reopening is Reconnect Safely, Return Strong, because we want to ensure that however we connect with our communities, it is in a safe way. And we want to emphasize our strength as a district in overcoming challenges, both behind us and in front of us. You received a sneak peek of our commitment to safety when you arrived here today. A school nurse checked your temperature at the door, and you were not allowed entry unless you passed our screening. I will share more about our safety measures in just a moment. I would like to thank our Board of Education throughout this entire process since March the 12th, and even as of a few minutes ago, they have been very supportive of me as a superintendent, supportive of the decisions that I've had to make, and in collaboration with them. And in April, the board approved 4 emergency constraints to set specific operating conditions and expectations for the district during the COVID-19 pandemic. The emergency constraints directly address operating expectations while schools were closed but educating students. The emergency constraints are as follows. The superintendent will not operate without addressing the social and emotional needs of our students. The superintendent will not operate without addressing the health and safety needs of our students. The superintendent will not operate without engaging students in learning. The superintendent will not operate without protecting the health and safety of employees. Based on what you've read thus far, what you've seen on the internet, whether it's on our reopening page and all of the information, I hope you can see that my decisions were guided by those 4 emergency constraints. Once again, thank you to the Board of Education for your support. Along with those emergency constraints, I provided the board with progress measures. When we meet in August, those progress measures will be updated and presented to the board. We have been working diligently to identify a plan that addresses the unique challenges brought on by our current health situation. Our goal is twofold: to deliver a quality education while ensuring the health and safety of students, families, and staff. With the safety of students, families, and staff as our top priority, all students will start the 2020-21 school year in HISD virtually on Tuesday, September 8th. Virtual instruction for all students will continue for the first 6 weeks, beginning Tuesday, September 8th through Friday, October 16th. My decision to begin the 2020-21 school year virtually and delay the start of the school year for 2 weeks was due to, number one, being a citizen in this community, being a leader in this community, being a wife, a mother, and a friend, and being the leader of over 28,000 employees. It touches me in every being and to the core of who I am as an individual. I've had many sleepless nights, even up until this morning, wrestling with this decision. But I need our children to be safe, but I need the adults that are charged with serving those children. I need them to feel comfortable coming to work, and I want everyone in our district to be successful. Additionally, almost 50% or more than 5,300 of the approximately 11,000 HISD teachers actually reside in the city of Houston zip code. Given the threat of COVID-19, we will not put the health and safety of our students and staff at risk. Currently, our plan is for face-to-face instruction for students to begin on Monday, October 19th, 2020, with a phased-in approach. However, this date is subject to change based on COVID-19 conditions across the city of Houston and recommendations from local, state, and federal health officials. Also, we might be able to extend the virtual instruction to longer than 6 weeks if additional flexibility is provided by TEA. I want to thank our governor who spoke out on yesterday and said that local districts deserve flexibility and control to make the decisions that's in the best interest of their communities. And I thank him, and we look forward to hearing additional information about that. Because it's important for parents to have the ultimate choice in determining what is best for their child, parents will have the option to opt out of face-to-face instruction entirely for the fall semester and for the entire 2021 school year and choose online learning. This week, HISD Board President Sue Dygard, along with 9 board presidents from large urban school districts across the state, sent a letter to Governor Abbott requesting greater local control and flexibility regarding student attendance, funding, instructional designs. As the interim superintendent of the state's largest school district, I support this effort. As the trustees articulated in their letter, school districts require stability to open without fear of financial losses and need flexibility to open school in a manner we determine is best for our community. We once again want to thank the governor for listening, and we appreciate his comments yesterday regarding the need for local flexibility in addressing student needs during this pandemic. Thank you, Trustee Dygard and members of the Board of Education for your leadership and advocacy for HISD students. Starting August 24th, parents will be receiving a phone call from the district asking them to indicate their preference for their child's education as it relates to online instruction beginning October 19th, whether it be face-to-face or online. Call-outs will be made in various languages on a school-level basis, accounting for multiple students in the same family at different schools. If families have multiple students at the same school, parents will select one choice and receive a follow-up from campus-level staff to confirm the same or different choices for each child at that campus. 2 weeks prior to the first day of in-person learning, there will be another round of call-outs for confirmed commitments. If there is no change, the initial choice will roll over, but families can use this opportunity to use the latest health data to make a new commitment. We are encouraging families to make that commitment for at least 6 weeks, which is a grading cycle. All parents will be asked to complete the 2020-21 Parent Introduction to Virtual Learning course by August the 28th. So we're encouraging all 209,000 parents in our district to complete that course. The course will be available starting July 31st. Once again, it's a Parent Introduction to Virtual Learning online. Communicating with parents and staff and soliciting feedback and input has been a priority for us throughout COVID-19. As we made preparations for a safe and strong start to the 2021 school year, it was critical to gather feedback from district families and teachers regarding experiences with virtual learning and in the spring to 2020, and how schools should look in fall 2020. We gathered feedback through a COVID-19 response parent survey and a teacher survey. Over 66,000 households completed the COVID-19 response parent survey, and over 7,300 teachers responded to the teacher survey. Participants were surveyed in the areas of district communication, desired instructional format for 2020-21, internet access and technological needs, and support available at home for students participating in virtual learning. Of parents surveyed, only 21% indicated that they would be comfortable with in-person instruction as normal, while others, over half, agreed with continuing with virtual learning only. Of teachers surveyed, only 14% of respondents indicated they were ready to physically return to the classroom. The first day for HISD teachers will be August the 24th, when they will report virtually. All other district employees will continue to work virtually and will be notified by their direct supervisor regarding the date they will be expected to return to the office in staggered phases. To ensure learning is uninterrupted and continues virtually, the HISD academics team has developed an instructional continuity plan. The plan provides a robust framework that expands on the current HISD at Home, which is our learning platform, and provides additional guidance and support for any future extended periods of closure. As the district gets the guidance from state and federal officials, we may implement changes to this plan. TEA has provided guidance on 2 virtual learning models, synchronous and asynchronous learning. During the first 6 weeks of the 2020-21 school year, Houston ISD will be implementing asynchronous learning. Asynchronous learning allows students to work at their own pace, while teachers will be available to provide live support and intervention through a daily instructional support schedule. During periods of virtual learning, students are expected to complete assigned learning activities each day. To support students and families, the plan includes opportunities to train and develop students in utilizing district resources, as well as training geared toward parents and how best to support their students. Grades will count. Grades will count. Starting Tuesday, September 8th, grades will count. Attendance and participation is a must. Attendance and participation during virtual learning is a must, and grades will count. Special population students will continue to receive services, technology, and needed accommodations. Admission and review and dismissal, or ARD committees, will continue to meet to determine the unique needs of students who receive special education services. Parents will continue to attend ARD meetings virtually and will receive support from a special education case manager to ensure that individual student needs are met during virtual instruction. The Social Emotional Learning, or SEL department, will offer webinars in both English and Spanish, focus on ways students, staff, and family members can maintain social and emotional health. Professional development will also be offered to school staff to ensure classroom teachers and school leaders are better equipped to support students in crisis. Campus-based counselors, social workers, and wraparound support specialists will continue to perform outreach to students and families. Once face-to-face instruction resumes as a primary safety measure, all HISD students and employees will be screened daily before entering any HISD building, just as you were today. They will also be required to wear appropriate masks, wash their hands frequently, and adhere to physical distancing requirements. It will be mandatory for nurses, custodial staff, food service workers, and select special education staff to wear gloves. Everything will be provided. The district will be providing all PPE for staff and students. The district will provide enough hand soap, paper towels, tissues, and hand sanitizers and disinfectant to accommodate frequent cleaning of high-touch areas. HISD will adopt a flexible attendance policy so students and staff aren't penalized for staying at home when they are sick, have a sick family member, or have been exposed to someone outside of the household who is sick. These protocols were developed by our HISD Communicable Disease Plan Task Force. I want to thank all the members that served on that task force. We had over 60 members of our community to serve as it relates to this committee. The group worked diligently this summer to identify ways HISD could return students and teachers to classrooms and employees to office workspaces while following public health guidelines and mitigating transmission of COVID-19. The task force was charged with reviewing safety guidance from local, state, and federal health and education officials. We'll be re-engaging not only this committee, but also our Instructional Continuity Plan Committee as we revisit the progress measures for our emergency constraints. We will be gathering those groups back to share with them the information around the proposed progress measures for our Board of Education. During the first weeks of virtual learning from September 8th until October 16th, curbside meals will be provided at select schools with enrollment of 60% or more of free and reduced lunches. These schools are considered severe needs. Also, during the first 6 weeks of online learning from September 8th until October 16th, students enrolled in HISD schools at select locations throughout the city will have meals delivered to their residents with prior TDA approval. The district will identify those approved locations such as large apartment complexes, group homes, and even large mega churches. Employees will continue to accommodate student health, medical, and special dietary needs, as well as allergy concerns. Department employees will follow public health hygiene recommendations and enhance custodial cleaning and surface disinfection. Once students return face-to-face with face-to-face instruction, transportation services will enhance cleaning protocols and implement physical distancing for all buses and buildings. Because physical distancing drastically reduces bus capacity, Only special education, homeless, and priority students will be transported for in-person classroom instruction initially. The department will also implement contingency plans for responding to student bus riders and bus drivers who develop a presumed or confirmed case of COVID-19. Extracurricular activities will follow the same safety practices employed on school campuses during the school day. School-based extracurricular activities will resume when in-person instruction begins. Face coverings must be made available to and worn by students and teachers during all extracurricular activities. Student sporting events are tentatively scheduled for the fall, but HISD athletics will adjust plans as needed if COVID-19 conditions change. Field trips will not take place until the district has been advised that non-HISD locations have been deemed safe for students to visit. It is no secret that school districts across Texas and our country have been confronted by a technological divide. Despite our efforts and supports from community partners, this divide still exists in our district and city. As I've stated before, we estimated about 35% of households in the district do not have internet access. Additionally, 35% of respondents in our COVID-19 parent survey indicated they need better, more reliable internet. In our parent survey, 52% of respondents indicated they need technology devices for schoolwork. We will continue to close the technological divide by providing families internet hotspots and other devices like iPads, laptops, and Chromebooks. Through the district's Power Up program, all high school students received a laptop. During the spring 2020 semester, HISD had approximately 50,000 high school students that had their own device, and they will continue to have that device. The district has purchased a total of 35,000 additional devices and 6,000 internet hotspots for students. We will continue to work diligently to ensure that all students remain engaged as we begin virtual learning in September. Parents of students in need of a laptop or hotspot who have not yet received one from HISD, please contact your school principal and let them know of any technology needs before the school year begins. We will also be surveying all of our parents again to make sure that every child has access to a device for learning. We will ensure that every child remains engaged in virtual learning. So beginning in August, we will launch our Students Within Reach Return Strong campaign. As part of this initiative, beginning August 3rd, we will attempt to reach every child who was not engaged in virtual learning during the spring semester. Based on our data, we know that around 32 students were not engaged in the learning process during that time. We were able to reach all but 5,000, but all of them were not engaged. After the first day of school and every day after, students who have not logged in and started participating, we will be conducting home visits, we will be doing call-outs, but our goal is to reach every child that is currently on our rosters and scheduled to begin on Tuesday, September 8th. HISD wraparound specialists and other trained staff will conduct home visits while maintaining physical distancing to attempt to reach every HISD student. As a part of our work to engage with families, the district launched the HISD at Home hotline. Students and parents can call the hotline Monday through Friday with questions concerning distance learning. We have operators answering questions in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Arabic. The hotline number is 713-556-INFO, 713-556-4636. Parents can start calling the hotline on August the 3rd between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. That number again is 713-556-4636. Enrollment for new students will continue to be handled at the campus level. Parents should reach out to schools they're interested in enrolling their child in for assistance. Parents new to HISD who are interested in enrolling their children in a magnet or choice program may apply for programs that have space available. Also, we still have spots available for parents to enroll their child in pre-K. Please visit www.choosehisd.com or call 713-556-6734, 713-556-6734 for additional information or to request assistance. The registration process for the 2020-21 school year will begin on August the 3rd, 2020. You can also visit www.houstonisd.org/enroll. As a reminder and kind of a teaser, we're going to send some additional information out. I know that there's a concern that the delay of the school year by 10 days means that possibly students might not be engaged for 10 days. But during the weeks of August the 24th, which was the originally scheduled first day of school, through September 3rd, students will have the opportunity to participate in HISD enrichment opportunities. We will be sending that information out to all parents. K-12 students will have that opportunity. So there will be enrichment academic opportunities from August the 24th through September 3rd, with school beginning on Tuesday, September 8th. Again, I want to emphasize that students will begin the school year virtually for the first 6 weeks of school, starting on Tuesday, September 8th, until Friday, October 16th. The safety of our students and staff is our number one priority, and we will reassess the situation before the planned face-to-face instruction on October 19th. I want to encourage parents and staff to visit our reopening landing page for more information about our district's reopening plan. I want to thank all members of Team HISD for your patience over these past 5 months. I want to thank you for going the extra mile to feed our students, to contact our students, holding webinars, going out, practicing social distancing, visiting our students, calling our parents, being available after hours for our parents to meet their needs. At this time, I will take questions. To the best of our abilities, we have shipments rolling in, and as those shipments are rolling in, we're deploying that equipment, and that is our goal, to get those in the hands of every child that needs a hotspot and or a laptop. Like I said, all of our high school students have it, and so they can also share with their siblings initially as we continue to roll out those devices. But that's our goal. Just don't tell my CFO, but no, that is our goal. So those are state guidelines, and as we look to see what additional policies and rules will come from TEA, we'll make that decision. But our goal is to be 100% virtually and support students 100% virtually.
Dr. Lathan, you addressed this at the beginning, but you just said about the circumstances that need to be met for the district to say that it's just too risky to do in-person learning for students to be here, for faculty to be here, and that we don't want to go all virtual.
So currently, based on the conditions in our city, I believe we are a code red. We're on high alert. A reduction in the positive cases as it relates to the city of Houston. And, even most recently, as we hear the number of deaths, that's concerning, but it will be slowing a course of the virus, reduction in the number of positive cases across our city. And then also guidance that we receive from our local health department in our city.
What would you need? What kind of, if things continue to be bad, what circumstances then need to exist for you to say we can only do all virtual?
The circumstances that exist today, based on the high percentage of positive cases, based on the level alert that we are as a city. And so if those numbers keep climbing and they're still at this level or higher, that would be, for me, that would be a recommendation to go to the board, having them to approve a resolution to continue beyond that time.
Could you talk about the COVID gauge system that you plan on implementing? It's like a color-coded system similar to what Harris County is currently using, and how that's going to play a role in education.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you once again to our communicable disease committee that came out as a result of the committee's work of mirroring what we are as a level or our gauge levels, similar to what the county has shared with us. Because what happens in the county impacts HISD, what happens in the city impacts HISD. And so that's why we mirror that. And so we will look at the conditions in the city and county and compare that across the entire district. But there are possibilities that on October 16th, we reopen face-to-face. There are possibilities that some campuses will close. So some campuses might be on red, where we would just need to close that particular campus, and other campuses would remain open based on the needs of that particular campus if there are no positive cases and no issues there.
You were saying that starting August 24th, parents will get a call saying, do you want your kids to participate in the October 16th in person? And then they get another chance before that date to change their mind?
Yes, and the reason we're doing that because as conditions change, it's too early now because we know today if we send it out, like I said, we just completed and ended the survey on July 2nd. And so as conditions change and things get better, so a parent on that particular date might say no, and then a couple weeks later, conditions have improved and they might want to change their mind. And we want to be supportive of that parent's decision.
And whatever they decide, they need to sort of stick to a 6-week time frame.
Yes, we are highly encouraging parents to stick to that because staffing is built on the number of seats that enroll and number of students that enroll and participate. And so that's a master scheduling nightmare if people are going in and out. And so that's why we're asking them to do that at the beginning of a new grading cycle.
You also mentioned that parents, if they want to, they can do online learning the entire school year. I mean, is there anything where that might change where that wouldn't be possible or no?
I doubt that would change. Like I said, I believe this is the year of flexibility, 2020-21. I believe it's the year of flexibility. I believe it is truly the year of allowing parents to make that decision based on their own health, their level of concerns around the health of their child or their family. But I don't see us changing. So our goal is to provide that commitment that we will provide online learning for the entire 2020-21 school year. Homeless students, yes, priority.
What about those parents who are working jobs, multiple jobs, and they want their kids to be here, their kids want to be in school, but they're having a difficult time with the transportation? What do you say to those parents?
I think that's an excellent question. What I say to those parents is when we send out that information, we're going to do what we can to work with parents. And as we look at those numbers of who's selecting face-to-face and who's selecting virtual, we might have to provide opportunities for modified days where we have half of the students spend a certain amount of time, and then or we extend that particular day. And so we're going to do what we can to work with parents to ensure that we can get students to school. That's the number one goal when we're ready to go face to face.
For students who may not know how to use a computer, what resources will be provided so that they can guide their younger children?
Thank you. So number one, we're encouraging all parents to participate in our parent orientation to virtual learning. Number two, HISD staff members, not only our wraparound specialists, but other staff members whose job at this point would just not allow them to work remotely at home, will be assigned responsibilities to help get students online, to walk them through. So you dial this particular number, Granita's going to walk you through, okay, Jacob, he's sitting right there, Jacob, this is what you need to do. But we're going to set up, and I'm calling them academic angels, that they will be assigned to support, especially our younger students and our families, because I know, and like I said, in making this decision, all of us have to work. I'm at work today also as a parent, but I just want to make sure everyone is safe. But I know parents have to go back to work, and we're going to do what we can to support them and support their child.
When you open buildings, will you require all teachers and other staff to report to the buildings, or will you allow some to stay home, even if they don't have a legally required accommodation that you have to offer?
Well, as an employer, we have to follow our procedures as it relates to decisions that staff. So we have FML, we have accommodations committee. So we have a procedure or process that staff members can go through to make that decision, and we'll be looking at that on a case-by-case situation. There will be, let me finish, there will be some teachers that will be assigned to continue to teach at home virtually, regardless of the circumstance, based on how we've identified by campus, how many campuses need a teacher to support them students virtually, or teachers will be assigned to be district-wide virtual teachers, but they could also be at home. So those who, and it still needs to be fair in that process that we utilize for teachers to self-select and think about it as you go through and apply for a position. If they select to participate or be a virtual teacher, we still have to have a process in place. That makes it fair to all of the employees that we serve.
So you do expect that there will be some teachers who, just say, I want to stay home because I have a family member at home who's high risk. There are other districts that are saying everybody has to come back unless you have a legal accommodation. You're expecting to make some accommodations for those, even if we don't have a legal right to that.
So we're going to follow the legal process as it relates to that process, but there will be some teachers assigned or staff members to work virtually. But there's still a process, a series of questions, a series of things that need to be met in order to do that. But you just, with a district of 209,000 students, you can't just self-select. So yes, when we say it's time to report back, then we will look at that, and we'll look at that across campuses. And that's why one of the other things that we're doing is we've selected right now, we have 18 model campuses. And if you think about what is a model home or a model apartment, when you're looking for a home or apartment or looking for something, you go out and take a look at it, right? So we're going to use those 18 schools, and we're staging those schools now so as lessons learned, so we can prepare for all 280 of our campuses to be prepared to receive students. So the desk, everything is laid out, the teacher supplies in every classroom, the process from when you actually, like you saw today, walking up the sidewalk into the building, so you know what the requirements are. So we're staging and setting up those campuses because I want, as a former principal, I needed my teachers to be comfortable. And so we want staff members to be able to come in and say, this is what your classroom is going to look like. Yes, you will have the cleaning supplies. See, it's already here. Because I know as a teacher, we buy, and teachers always are buying things, and sometimes we're running out. But we're going to ensure that we have everything we need to support our teachers and our principals to open up the school year face to face.
When you start back in person, will like all the students be in the same room all day long? How will that work?
A great question. And so we're looking at schedules, more of teachers moving as opposed to students changing classes and moving. Our instructional continuity committee, that's something else that they looked at. But things are going to vary from campus to campus based on the size of those campuses. Right now, I'll give you an example. Our standard elementary classrooms, we went out and we've looked at some campuses. They can get about 9 students if you do physical distancing of 6 feet. About 9 students in a classroom plus the teacher. If we do 3 to 5 feet, it's about 16 students in a classroom. And then if we move into a cafeteria, it's about 32 students in a classroom. So think about that. Our classrooms at the elementary level are 22 to 1. And so we can only get 9 of the 22 in that particular classroom. And so we're going to have to look at all those options. And that was going back to the question about transportation is how do we schedule the day? But we are mandated to meet so many required minutes per day for our students. And so it's going to take a lot of flexibility over the next several months. But we're going to do right by our children and we're going to do right by our staff.
I know this has all been real difficult for you all, but like, what's been the most difficult part of trying to make all this happen for you all?
That's a good question because it's been so many. Honestly speaking, it's always the worry around people's safety. I mean, even when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, it's that worry. It's that worry of any misstep. There could be grave consequences for that. And so that's been the worry. And down to even thinking about the transportation piece is we are a district that transports about 60,000 students daily. And to say we might have to limit transportation initially, that's painful. The other decision is not to hold face-to-face instruction. Our students and our staff members, people think about are looking at our students, but I can look at my staff members and I know when they're having a good day or are you laughing? But I can look at my trustees and know that too. So as a teacher can see his or her student and know what's going on in their lives, that's the worry right now is, and I'm saying to myself, honestly speaking, Lord, it's 6 more weeks of keeping my babies at home. And so that's why I've told members of Team HISD, we are going to reach students. We're going to make sure that they are safe, that they're fed, and that they have what they need. And so that's been the difficult part, just knowing, It's a longer amount of time away from their classrooms.
In terms of state funding, how is HISD being affected at this very moment by choosing to do virtual learning?
Well, right now, we are okay. We'll see what happens in the next several weeks. But when you think about finances, everything is around the expenses that we've incurred as it relates to the COVID pandemic. If you think about the amount of money we've already spent to buy additional technology, which we know it was definitely needed, the cleaning supplies, the extra staff, having to fog campuses, that money could be utilized for academics. It could be utilized to support students. So that's the greater concern, is having and getting reimbursed at 100% for all our COVID expenses. And see, since we have our Congresswoman here, I'm just looking at you and saying 100% reimbursement for our COVID expenses. So that's what we need the support, is reimburse districts. Allow us to do what we need to do and what we do best, which is educating children. For HISD, it's about educating the whole child, but support us with the decisions that we need to make locally.
And are some teachers being trained at this moment to be ready to jump in case the teacher isn't capable of doing their duties?
Great question. So we've provided professional development. We started professional development in the spring. We've provided professional development this summer. We will have start another round of professional development. We'll be also utilizing and training our associate teachers. Some people call them substitute teachers. So they will be available. We'll be providing training for them and opportunities for them to also support their campuses. Our principals will still be able to hire academic tutors to support students even in a virtual environment. We have several models. So we have so right now, school day is 7:30 for elementary students, 7:30 to 3 o'clock, and high school and middle school, 8:30 to 4:10. So that's the standard. So then we have another version that shows if we need to bring in a certain number of students at a certain percentage of capacity, here's what that schedule will look like. And so we have various models that we have already put together, and it's just a matter of pulling that contingency plan and implementing it when it's time to go. And that's one of the things I want to make sure, and I know I've shared with trustees one-on-one, is we've thought about every scenario possible, but of course sometimes you can't hit 100% of them, but we're prepared in the event that we need to change and turn on a dime again, to continue in virtual or to come back face-to-face, whether it's 100% or even in phases where we look at pre-K2, we look at 6th grade, we look at 9th and 12th grade initially. So we have a combination of plans that we're ready to implement.
Why did you choose to start after Labor Day, and why did you choose to set a target return or target open date of late October?
6 weeks. So like I said, we're on a 6-week grading cycle. So if you look at September 8th through October 16th, that will give us a 6 weeks. And I'll be very honest with you, it's around what's happening in our community. And there were about 2 weeks ago, and it's probably 3 weeks ago now, Judge Hidalgo talked about in one of her press releases where they had compared other states and other cities as it relates to when there's a major peak in the virus, and then how many days it takes from that peak to go down. Now, that was about 3 weeks ago, and we're now going in the opposite direction. So when I started looking at that, I contacted her office and asked for a copy of the data that she shared at the press conference, and we started looking at that as a team and saying, okay, and we're playing a game, of course, trying to calculate, okay, if we peak here, if this is a spike, then if it goes down, if we have about 40 days, of course, that's off now. And so that was one of the reasons. Number 2, delaying the start. If there's flexibility to continue with online so that we can receive 100% funding, it helps us starting later if we have to go beyond that, the middle of October.
Do you expect you will have to add minutes to your day or potentially days to your calendar through Dallas has talked about spring break into June?
Yes, we will have to add those 10 days to the end of the calendar and additional 10 minutes to our school day. So an additional 10 minutes to the school day, and then the last day of school now would be June the 11th. So we will need to add those days. But I'd rather have the benefit of adding those days and everyone is safe than not.
Did you say, is the room to be on level 2 instead of level 1 before you start in-person school?
Yes, we would definitely take that into consideration. Like I said, in consultation with our local health officials and looking at that data, that is one major piece that we would take into consideration. And I know some people ask, well, why are certain districts doing one thing, other districts? Everyone is doing what's best for the community that they serve. And so it's nothing wrong with any decision any superintendent has made that's in the best interest. All of us have surveyed our communities. We've looked at the data. And so we're doing what's best based on what the data is telling us for our community.
That's going to depend on UIL, but if UIL is allowing some type of activity, some type of games for high school students in particular, will they be able to practice? Will they be able to, it's a little unclear from the audience, will there be practice going on in September and early mid-October?
Everything will be based on, if UIL sends down rules that says, yes, you can condition and practice, but once again, if we are still a level 1 as a city, we will not be allowing those practices. Because if we're still in a virtual format, we still have the same health challenges. And believe me, from a former athlete, I understand, I get it, but we have to all be careful.
So you're saying that as long as schools are virtual only, you will not have practices, you will not have athletic games?
Unless something changes, I'm correct. That is correct, yes. But we'll add, we can have, whenever it's time to start sports again, I will support us doing whatever we need to do. So if we need to play football in January, we can play football. The NFL does it. What's the difference? Okay. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Again, thank you to members of Team HISD. Thank you to our parents and our students. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you. Thank you for coming. 100%. Can you please get there for us?